I let my sister into my home when no one else wanted her. I believed blood meant loyalty and silence meant love. I didn't know that decision would cost me everything I built. I never thought I would be the kind of woman telling her story to strangers just to breathe again. But some betrayals don't leave bruises on your skin, they live inside your chest. My sister showed up at my door on a Tuesday evening, carrying 2 suitcases and a face full of shame. Her marriage had collapsed. Her friends had stopped answering her calls. And according to her, I was the only one left. She cried in my arms like she had done when we were kids. Same tears, same shaking shoulders, same voice saying, "I don't know what I'll do without you." I didn't hesitate. I didn't ask questions. I didn't set boundaries. I didn't protect myself. I told her she could stay as long as she needed. That was my first mistake. At the time, my life was stable. Not perfect, but peaceful. I was married. I had a routine. I had a home that felt safe. My husband welcomed her politely, though I noticed the pause in his smile when she hugged him a little too long. I ignored it. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself trauma makes people sensitive. I told myself family comes first. Within the first week, my sister settled in like she had always belonged there. She used my bathroom, wore my clothes, borrowed my things without asking, and slowly she began listening. Listening when my husband and I argued, listening when I complained late at night, listening when I admitted my fears, my insecurities, the cracks in my marriage I thought were private. She never judged me. She just nodded. And that should have scared me. Instead, it made me trust her more. I didn't know she was collecting pieces of my life. I didn't know she was learning how to replace me. And I definitely didn't know that the people I trusted most were already choosing sides. I didn't notice the shift at first. It wasn't loud. It wasn't obvious. It slipped in quietly, like everything dangerous does. My sister started waking up earlier than me. She would already be dressed when I came into the kitchen, coffee made, hair done, smiling like she had somewhere important to be. Sometimes my husband was already there with her, laughing over something I didn't hear. I told myself it was harmless. She needed structure. She needed routine. She needed support. That's what I told myself. Again. But slowly, my place in my own home began to shrink. She started finishing my sentences when I talked, correcting my stories, laughing just a little too hard at my husband's jokes. And the worst part? He liked it. Not in an obvious way, not in a way I could accuse, but in the way he lingered in the kitchen longer than necessary, in the way he asked her opinion before mine, in the way his eyes followed her when she walked out of the room. When I brought it up, he sighed. "You're overthinking," he said. "She's been through a lot." And just like that, I felt guilty. So I stayed quiet. That silence became her weapon. My sister started positioning herself as the reasonable one. When my husband and I argued, she would step in softly. "Maybe you're both just tired," she'd say. "Stress makes people emotional." But she always looked at me when she said it. At night, she'd sit on my bed and listen to me vent. She'd stroke my hair, agree with me, tell me I deserved better. Then, without me knowing, she would repeat my words to him, twisted, softened, edited just enough to make me sound unstable. "She's been really overwhelmed," she'd say. "She cries a lot. I'm worried about her." And suddenly, I was the problem. The tension in my marriage deepened. Conversations stopped. Distance grew. And my sister, she became the bridge between us, the mediator, the comforter, the understanding one. I started noticing small things. My clothes folded differently. my side of the bed feeling colder, whispers stopping when I entered a room. One evening, I came home early. The house was quiet, too quiet. I heard laughter coming from the living room. When I walked in, they jumped apart, too fast. My sister's cheeks were flushed. My husband wouldn't meet my eyes. I asked what was funny. She answered before he could. "Just something stupid," she said. Inside joke. Something in my chest tightened. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I knew the truth, but because my body did. I still didn't have proof. I still didn't have certainty. But I had a feeling, and it was screaming. I stopped asking questions after that night. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood something important. If I confronted them without proof, they would turn it against me. They would call me jealous, emotional, unstable, and my sister was already very good at that. So instead, I watched, I listened, and I learned. My sister stopped pretending she was just staying for a while. She began rearranging things in the house, suggesting changes, making plans that didn't include me. She spoke to my husband like they were partners, not lovers yet, but collaborators. That's how betrayal usually starts. One afternoon, I overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. I had forgotten my phone at home and came back early. Their voices drifted from the bedroom, low, comfortable, too close. My sister said my name. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. "She doesn't notice anymore." My husband didn't argue. He agreed. That was the moment everything inside me went quiet. No anger, no panic, just clarity. That night, I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. I checked accounts, messages, shared files, and slowly the truth revealed itself. Deleted texts, long calls at night, conversations that started as concern and ended in intimacy. They hadn't crossed every line yet, but they were standing right on it, together. I waited, not because I was weak, but because timing matters when you want the truth to speak for itself. A week later, my sister slipped. She asked my husband something she shouldn't have known, something private, something I had never shared with her. He froze. I watched the moment he realized what he'd done, and I smiled. That night, I asked him one simple question. Why does my sister know that? He hesitated. Too long. Then he said the words that finally broke the illusion. She understands me. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I nodded, and that scared him more than anger ever could. The next morning, I asked them both to sit down, calmly. I laid everything out, the messages, the timelines, the lies. My sister tried to laugh it off, tried to say I was imagining things, until I showed her the proof. Her face drained of color. My husband didn't even try to deny it. He just looked tired and small. I told them something they didn't expect. I wasn't begging. I wasn't asking them to choose. I was done. I told my sister she had 1 hour to pack. She cried, said she had nowhere else to go, said family doesn't abandon family. I reminded her, family doesn't dismantle marriages either. They left together, and for the first time in months, my house felt like mine again. Weeks passed, then months, and karma did what karma always does. Without secrecy, their bond crumbled. Without me absorbing the damage, they turned on each other. My sister called first, crying, apologizing, asking to come back. I didn't answer. My husband followed. Long messages, regret, promises. I didn't respond, because closure doesn't always require conversation. I learned something the hard way. Not everyone who needs help deserves access to your life. Not everyone who shares your blood shares your loyalty. And silence isn't strength when it protects the wrong people. They thought taking my peace would destroy me. Instead, it freed me. Subscribe for more revenge and betrayal stories every day on Deep Karma Tales.